It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, and yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Welcome on in to the Full Court Press here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM The Fan, streaming online at 1069thefan.com and on the 1069 The Fan mobile app. And I forget, I have to on our podcast feed. I don't know. I'm out of practice, Eric. I haven't been in the studio for a few days.
Available everywhere. Wherever you are.
Wherever you get your podcasts, however you want to listen to it. Mobile app, online, over traditional airwaves, however you're listening, live or after the fact. We're glad you're listening. If you're listening live, or heck, even if you're not listening live, feel free to text the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, 435-339-0321. Got a lot to go over today, a lot about the Utah Jazz, their first summer league game, players who did play well, players who didn't play well, players who didn't play at all due to injury, what we can look forward to in the next couple of games for these teams, and then, looking ahead to the Las Vegas Summer League and what they need to prove there. And of course, there was a trade that went down today. And I wasn't sure which of these I wanted to start with. So Eric, what do you want to start with?
Let's start with the John Collins trade.
All right.
I've been kind of waiting for this to happen. I suspected John Collins would be moved. Once we saw Collin Sexton get traded and we saw Utah really leaning in on this youth movement, it just didn't make sense to me that they would keep John Collins because he's a good player, but he kind of gets in the way of the development of these younger guys. And while Austin Ainge says we're not going to tank, the way that the question was posed to him was, are you going to manipulate roster in playing time,
like rotations and lineups?
Rotations. He says we're not doing that this year. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to struggle to win games. And in the last few days, the last week or so here, they have proven that they are going to struggle to win games, but they're not going to call it tanking. They're going to lean in on this youth and try to let these guys play and develop. And Coach Hardy's going to coach them hard. But there's going to be a lot of youth and inexperience. And so some of these veteran guys are going to get in the way of this development process. So Collin Sexton is shipped out because they've got a lot of guards. And now John Collins is involved in a trade today, and he's gone. And I don't know, does he make more room for Kyle Filipowski now? John Collins involved with a number of other players and involved with multiple teams here.
Yeah, it's a 3-team trade involving the LA Clippers, the Utah Jazz, and the Miami Heat to say where everyone is going. So Norman Powell, who I believe he's with the Clippers, right? Because he's going to Miami, the veteran guard. John Collins will go to the Clippers, and then the Utah Jazz will receive back Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson, along with the 2027 Clippers second-round pick. And I think somebody mentioned online, if this were like 10 years ago, this would be a fantastic trade.
10 years ago.
You'd have prime Kevin Love. I think Kyle Anderson was still in the league 10 years ago, but he's been a pretty consistent veteran, but they're both kind of on the tail end of their respective careers. Likely both going to get bought out or maybe not play very much with the Jazz. We'll see exactly what they do with those players, but very clearly they're going to move away. They're moving minutes toward their young players.
Yeah, I could see Kevin Love especially getting bought out. While you do have a lot of young guys, it is good to have some veterans around them to mentor them, to guide them.
You got to have somebody on the roster.
Yeah, you got to have somebody on the roster. So I could see Kyle Anderson sticking around. He's not known for his quickness. His nickname is literally Slow-Mo. Slow-Mo, yes. But he can shoot from the outside. You know, he is kind of crafty with how he uses his body. And and he's got good footwork. So there's some things that these younger guys could learn from him. And you do need some veteran leadership around, or at least some veteran presence. Just because you've been in the league a long time doesn't mean you necessarily have veteran leadership. But it is good to have somebody with experience on the squad to help these younger guys kind of navigate the whole NBA schedule and what it means to play. So Lauri Markkanen, now actually Walker Kessler has been on the roster longer than anybody, technically, because he was on the roster a few months before Lauri Markkanen got traded.
Yeah, that's just absurd. It's just the way it is. Like, it's kind of like how Will Hardy's like one of the longer. He's in like the top half of, longest tenured head coaches, I think, in the NBA now. He's been around for 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years, coming into his fourth.
But that's just how things work is, coaching staff, players, there's a lot of turnover in modern sports. You get that in football and in basketball and in others. But one thing that was interesting about this, and really these last few trades, has been a bit of the fan reaction to what the Jazz are getting back and how these players are going out. Because with Danny Ainge at the helm and being the one in charge, where it seems you must have shifted duties, because Danny Ainge was basically I will sell high and you will buy high, or I'm not trading the player. And I think he was holding out for like a first-round pick for Collin, Sexton, or John Collins. I think there were some people who were convinced that Collin, Sexton, and John Collins could get a first-round pick. I was skeptical they could get a first-round for Collins.
And let's not forget about Jordan Clarkson, too. That's another guy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who were convinced that they were going to be prized commodities. And the problem is, in order to get high value out of a player, somebody has to like that player. And it just seems that nobody was really that sold on Collin Sexton or Jordan Clarkson or John Collins as far as like high value. The Jazz got two buyout players, maybe one buyout player in Kevin Love, a veteran they might keep on the roster in Kyle Anderson, and then a second-round pick. That's what they got for John Collins. And I think a lot of fans were expecting to get more from that. I think they were expecting to get literally anything from Collin Sexton, where they basically gave Collin Sexton away. But it's pretty clear that the priority is get these veterans off the roster, because we're going to tank next year. And we're not doing this weird, benching guys every other game and telling them that they're injured. We're not doing that again.
Contract guys become starters.
Yeah. They don't want to be doing that, where they have to, because that can cause, problems in the locker room where veterans are trying to raise their own value. Like, when you're a veteran on a bad team, that could be a stinky situation, but the thing you can get out of that is maybe you're going to put up some career numbers, or the best numbers you've put up in like 4 or 5 years if you're toward the tail end of your career. You can parlay that into like one final contract.
Right.
But if you're being told you have to get benched every other game, then you play half a season and suddenly other teams are like, well, why'd you only play 50 games last year? You're an injury-prone veteran. We don't want to sign you. So I think the Jazz just get these guys off the roster. We don't want to play the same game we played last year. Just let the young guys play, and let's not put up this weird facade and farce over why the veterans aren't playing enough games. Just play the young guys.
Right, and let's not do this for just half a season, because with Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck, they would get some guys, some lower value guys. They would feature them in the first half of the season. They would look pretty good, and they would spin them out at the trade deadline for future assets. And then they would do that again the next year. They were getting some guys that they could maybe get on a discount price. They'd feature them. They would play a lot. They would look pretty good. They would increase their value. Then they would spin them out for future assets. And now Austin Ainge in control, saying, look, it appears to be that the organization is like, all right, we're not going to play that game anymore. We have all these younger guys. We don't need more future assets. We need to develop the guys that we have. Let's give them a full season of working through this. All the highs and lows that come with a full season, not just half a season where they might get parked down in the G League for a while or play sparing minutes behind some of these other guys that are getting featured for future trade value. Let's give these guys some time to really cut their teeth against the main throes of an NBA season, which it's going to be kind of rough, but at least it's like, okay, we've put our line in the sand now. This is what we're going to do. We are going to start moving forward. We're probably not going to win a lot of games. They'll probably win more than they did last year, but not by much. But they're also positioning themselves to have better development from the young players while also having an opportunity to get in a good position on a generational draft this next summer.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to approach this season. I don't want to go through some of the craziness of last season again, just like who's going to play this week, which guys are arbitrarily benched. Just throw the young guys out there and see if they can make it work. Let them make the mistakes. Let them have the highs and lows. And we'll see which player has more highs and which players have more lows. Because, again, you don't want to be having this whole, we have a veteran and we have to play them. We have to feature them so we can spin them off for future assets. When all the while when they've been doing this for the last few years, the future assets have been a second-round pick. Because, like, that's what they got for Simone Fontecchio. That's basically what they got for, like, Kelly Olynyk. Like, every time they spin out one of these veterans at the trade deadline or even during the offseason, they get a second-round pick and some other random veteran. Like, is it worth, taking minutes away from a young player? Taking away opportunities, I should say. Because you don't just hand a young player minutes. That's not always a great thing to do. But they don't have an opportunity. Taylor Hendricks has barely had last year it was, injury threw that out. But even last year you would have been contending with John Collins and Lauri Markkanen. And then have to be constantly sitting those guys even if Hendricks was healthy. And obviously in Hendricks' rookie season, your number 9 overall pick didn't even get to play because you had John Collins and all these other guys on the roster. So he didn't even have an opportunity. So give these guys an opportunity. If they don't earn it, go sign some veteran and play him over the rookie and just deal with it. Yeah, deal with it when, cross those bridges when you come to them. But make sure you have an opportunity open for these guys to be able to see it.
Yeah, this move, moving John Collins, it's going to provide more opportunity for Ace Bailey. It's going to provide more opportunity for Taylor Hendricks when he becomes fully cleared. And more opportunity for Kyle Filipowski as well. So these are all young guys that are going to have more playing opportunity that wouldn't be taken by a guy like, if you have John Collins on your roster and you do want to try to win games, he's too valuable to just sit. And so this was purely motivated by clearing time. This wasn't about cap space. This wasn't about money. This was about time on the court. Jazz were not in a situation where they needed to be careful of the second apron and all this other stuff. They've got plenty of cap space, but they're also not interested this year, and they've been doing this the last few years. They're not interested in just taking on someone's contract because they have the space to do it, cap space, and to be friendly to some other team that maybe they could help them out at a future date. This is purely motivated by we need more time on the court with this young group.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I feel like now that they're clearing up some cap space, I don't know how much money Kyle Anderson and Kevin Love bring onto the books, but I wonder if they could go out there and take on some big contract. Could you pull it off and maybe have one player that you sit a bunch? Maybe you could do that. I don't know who that would be. I'd have to go through a list of the worst contracts. I don't know if that opportunity would present itself. But hey, maybe the Jazz could go out and do that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're still in a position where maybe they still bring on another veteran.
Yeah, it's that good old cap flexibility, the thing everyone wants, apparently.
You're like, look, you need to dump a guy. You're in a tough situation with your cap space. We'll take him on.
Yeah, get another second-round pick.
And, for a second-round pick. You hope if it was of that value that you could get a little bit more in return than that. But still, maybe on an expiring deal, it's team-friendly that may help be some veteran leader to help these younger guys develop without the expectation they're going to play a lot. Maybe, I don't know if there's going to be that kind of a roster, a salary. They probably expect to be some kind of a rotation guy, if not a starter.
You'd think maybe if they're at the end of their career, who knows? You'd have to figure out which opportunities that are out there. I don't know if there's one that would fit with the Jazz situation. So it's an option. I'd expect them to go a different direction, but who knows?
Yeah.
They could do it.
Yeah, it's possible. But now, right, we get to see this young team this summer. The real glimpse of what this team really is. Most of what you see in the summer league is, by and large, what you're going to see for the season.
Yeah, a lot of the Jazz roster.
A lot of young guys are there.
Yeah, a lot of Utah's roster for this next season are playing. Like their starting five. My gosh, do you think the starting five? We'll get to this because we're going to talk about summer league next. But I could almost see a game where the starting five for the Jazz in the summer league is the starting five for the team during the season.
Yeah, it could be the same starting five you see in December.
Yeah, there'd have to be some injuries involved, but like it could happen.
Right. I mean, Walker, Kessler, and Lowry Markkanen, they'd be starting, but
if those two are out, like I don't know, man. You can maybe see it, but real quick, want to get to the Young Power Sports text line before we hit the break. We had there are a couple off topics, so we'll get to them here. 9-15 saying half bowl of soup for members. Talking about the Pac-12 now. Said one in the Pac. Also seen some say the Mountain West is trouble after the CBS Pac deal. Also seen some say team leaving the Mountain West helps them get more media money, but I don't believe that one. Just referencing a bunch of reporting that happened last week. I saw some of it on good old X Twitter. Even up in the mountains, I was able to get it. But I didn't say anything.
I'm just trying to interpret the text here, but
so there's a few. So like one,
Teresa Gould was asked about Texas State. Are they a full member? Are they because the whole thing about the soup with Texas State and the university president posted something when there was initial talks apparently with Pac-12 and Texas State. But she was asked about it and this last week, and she said, "Look, I'm not going to disclose any particulars with any of our members.
Yeah,
whether it's a full share, half share, quarter share, whatever." Yeah,
there's been some reporting to the effect that they're getting a half share. I think I've seen it from multiple places. I don't know if they're all referencing the same person, but
and even if Texas State gets a half share from the Pac-12, it's still a huge increase from what they were getting in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot more. And there is some reporting to the fact that maybe the Mountain West could be in trouble with their TV deal. But others noting that the Mountain West is likely going to get more money than they did in their last media deal because the numbers always go up. Even in losing teams, the Mountain West number is likely going to go up.
Right. And just because they lose CBS doesn't mean that there aren't other partners out there that the Mountain West could pursue.
Yeah, they'll get something. 2444 texting and saying, "Are you guys still planning on doing the preseason top 25 Aggies list for football heading into the season? And if so, when will it start?" Well, we were having a conversation about that not an hour ago. We are planning on doing it, and we're figuring out exactly how it's going to look. I think it's going to have a bit of a different feel this year.
Yeah, we will talk about Aggies for the upcoming season.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to rank them.
Yeah,
there's so much mystery around this team. It's going to be hard for us and those who participate to honestly and legitimately rank them. But we do want to do something to feature, the Aggies we believe will have an impact this upcoming season.
Yeah. So there will be some kind of spotlight. There may just not be a specific rank attached to each of the players. So that will be a feature this summer. Yeah, and it will likely start in the next couple of weeks here.
Yeah.
Because we'll reveal them kind of one by one every weekday leading up to the start of football season.
Yeah.
So we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to shift back to the Utah Jazz. Talk about Summer League. Ace Bailey having an iffy start to his NBA career. Kyle Filipowski taking over. Bryce Sensabaugh also playing well. Cody Williams playing fairly decently. So we'll talk about all that next and what we expect from these players throughout the Summer League. Now they got one game done. Let's look at how we expect them to play the rest of the way. And we'll have that next on the Full Court Press.
Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning wants to help Cache Valley feel the love. Mountain Valley Heating and Air is giving away 5 fully installed heating and air conditioning units free of charge. Go to mountainvalleyhvac.com and help make a difference one home at a time. That's mtnvalleyhvac.com. Nominate prior to September 1st, 2025. See website for all details.
Located at 3200 North Main.
Bright green cars, that's the only thing you need to remember as you're driving down Main Street in Logan looking for Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Hi, this is Jarek. We have a lot of people comment on the bright green cars outside, and some even talk about the building, but the overwhelming responses come when they step inside. Jarek's showroom was created to offer an intimate, romantic setting for couples to enjoy their ring buying experience. Everyone is treated like a friend with no price negotiation needed. Make your engagement special. Make it Jarek's. Come see us at 930 North Main in Logan. Just look for the bright green cars.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. As I visit with people on a regular basis, I see many things we can help with. Recent falls, balance training, knee, shoulder, and hip surgeries, memory loss, housekeeping, help with medications, and that's not all. We at Primrose offer the best care in any situation. A great example of this is our preventative care program. While working with your doctor and using our personal approach, we can help prevent many of these situations. For more explanation, visit primrosecare.com or call me at 787-1369. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
Hi, I'm Emily Peterson, founder of Serenoni Luxury Blankets and Gifts. We started right here in Logan over 18 years ago, and what began as a way to help our daughter has grown into a local business that still does everything right here in Cache Valley, from designing to shipping to our shop that's open to the public. Our blankets are made with purpose and care. They're comfort, connection, and home. Serenoni, born in Logan and made for the moments that matter. Come shop our store on 10th West, right next to iFit in Logan.
When grid failures and severe weather cause power outages, your business might take a hit, or at home, you could lose your refrigerated food storage. Generac Standby Power Solutions help ensure an uninterrupted power supply. Generac is the #1 brand of standby generators. Get yours today from Golden Spike Electric, your trusted source for safety and security. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Sports of Logan has a brand new service center that can handle any make, any model 100% of the time. The trained technicians know Can-Am, Kawasaki, KTM, Polaris, Sea-Doo, and more inside and out. They work with any brand, any model, full stop. Young Power Sports of Logan has the tools and experience to keep your ride in peak condition, and you can Google Young Power Sports of Logan for Cache Valley's premier power sports service department. Of course, they also sponsor our Full Court Press text line. If you want to join the show, feel free to text in 435-339-0321. So, Eric, over the weekend, specifically on Saturday, the Salt Lake City Summer League got going. Utah Jazz played their first game because we got Utah, Philadelphia, Memphis, and Oklahoma City.
Yep.
So you got those 4 teams just doing a little round robin. Then everyone will head to Vegas. I believe there's also a summer league going on in Sacramento. I think they do one there.
I thought it was Sacramento, but the floor was Golden State's, so it must be in San Francisco.
Yeah, it used to be Sacramento. Who knows? There's usually 1 or 2 summer leagues. Then there's the big one in Vegas where everyone participates. And that's one that a lot more people are paying attention to. But hey, more summer league games means more things that we can overreact to. And we've got one game under our belts. I was not watching because I was hanging out with the family up in the mountains. So I can see the stats. But, Eric, you were watching the entire game, and I want to get your thoughts on a lot of these things. I see Ace Bailey scoring 8 points on 3 of 13 shooting, and that's kind of a yikes number. But there's other numbers that I do like, the ones next to Cal Filipowski, Bryce Sensabaugh, and even Cody Williams.
Yeah, it was interesting. The starting lineup had everybody who was at some point last year was a starter or played some meaningful minutes for the Jazz.
Save for Ace Bailey.
Except for Ace Bailey, right. That one notable exception. Of course, Utah has been leaning in on their youth a little bit more. And so a lot of guys that played for Utah, they had a lot of NBA experience. So they looked like they knew what they needed to do out there on the floor. Ace Bailey, kind of the initial thoughts of him is springy. Now, for his length, he can get up. He blocked a shot and was trying to make some things happen, grabbed some good rebounds for the team. But also looked like he struggled getting into the flow. And some of his shots were kind of forced, not really in the flow of the offense. Of course, it's summer league. You see a lot of that. Guys are just trying to get some stuff on film. And so sometimes they want to try a little too hard to showcase what they can do rather than make the smart pass or the smart read. It was the first game, so nobody should get overly critical of how these guys performed. But the thing with Ace Bailey is that he got pulled in the fourth quarter. And this game got really close, got really tight. At one point, the Jazz were ahead, had a pretty good margin, but Philadelphia came back. And it was a tight game the last couple of minutes. Ace Bailey was not around for any of that. They did bring him in on the final play. He guarded the inbounds. Of course, he's got great length. And there was a shot that went up, and he was able to rotate over, get the rebound, and secure the win for the Jazz in the process. But he's still kind of a raw prospect. The one that I was really impressed with was Walt Clayton. Walt Clayton Jr. came off the bench, took some minutes from Isaiah Collier, though they played side by side for a good stretch of the game too. But Clayton, good distributor, but he can also score. And I think that's one of the big differences between he and Collier. I think Collier is bigger and more physical, but Clayton can shoot. Where Collier struggles with that. Collier can get in the lane a little bit and can muscle his way into his spots, but he struggles to finish. Clayton is not afraid to shoot the ball and make a shot, too.
Yeah, and that's like Walter Clayton was one of the players I was kind of looking at as I think he could really take off, especially if they end up pulling Isaiah Collier from the Summer League. I don't know if he's going to stick around and be on the roster the entire time. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Maybe they want to give him some time to get some more shots up and be a focal point of kind of the scoring part of the offense, where on the Jazz last year, his job was to pass it to somebody else, take a shot if you're wide open. And I think he maybe needs some time to develop his scoring aspect. But the Summer League, and you kind of touched on this, where things are kind of haphazard. The teams aren't really organized. It kind of looks like a pickup game at times. And the people that thrive in Summer League are the guys that can just go out and get a bucket. Sometimes it can favor guys that can just pull up from three and hit a ton of threes, and they look good because they scored 27 points and they hit like 7 threes. Sam Merrill was kind of like that in Summer League when that year he went off. He's just drilling a bunch of threes. He was just shooting, anytime he was partially wide open, he was shooting, he was hitting. That was an area where he could thrive. And in a similar vein, Kyle Filipowski is a little bit like that. He can just kind of rise and fire in a lot of cases. But players that have on-ball scoring, it can just go out there, create some space, and get a shot up, they can have a tendency to thrive in Summer League. We saw that from Donovan Mitchell. He just went out there and created some shots, went out there and scored. And he thrived in Summer League. He was inefficient. And that's one thing, I harp on efficiency all the time. But in Summer League, everyone's inefficient. And if you are super efficient, it probably means you're there for the second or third time, like Kyle Filipowski. Because the year Donovan Mitchell was so good in Summer League that he had to get pulled, he shot 38%, which is bad, but it's Summer League. So you're just looking for guys who can go out there and get their shot. This is also why I'm a little concerned about Ace Bailey. because that's kind of supposed to be what he is. Like, he goes out there and he gets his own shot and he can take some of the tough shots. So this is a place where he should thrive. Now, I'm not going to overreact to one game, but if we see 5 or 6 more games of this, it's kind of like when Keontae George really struggled in Summer League. It's like, I know you're going to be inefficient. That's going to happen. But please hit some shots. And so I want to see Ace Bailey be able to bounce back from this. I think Walter Clayton could end up having, he goes 3 for 8, 9 points. Maybe I was expecting him to do a little bit more. But Ace Bailey is a guy who, given his archetype, given his supposed potential, he really shouldn't be struggling this much in Summer League. You're going to have a bad game, pretty likely, in Summer League. So if this is his bad game, I don't care. But I want to see something. And it's another thing I harp on. I want to see the flashes. With Donovan Mitchell, we saw the flashes of uber scoring. Even though he wasn't super efficient, we saw those flashes. I want to see how that Ace Bailey. If half of his games he shoots 3 of 13, whatever. But if in 2 or 3 of them, he scores 28, 29 points, then that'll be at least something I can cling on to.
Yeah, and look, I think you're right that this Saturday night, there are a lot of these Jazz players who played significant minutes last year. I don't know how much more they're going to play. Bryce Sensabaugh, he was hitting from all over from 3, grabbed a bunch of rebounds, blocked a couple of shots, like playing like I'm kind of frustrated that I'm even here, that I have to do this. So I'm going to show people like, why am I here? You don't need me to be here. You need these other guys to be here. Collin Filipowski played well. He can still work on some things defensively, but offensively, he showed what he can do. And really strong, really fun to watch him play and see him continue to impress on the floor. So I don't know how much you're going to see more of Bryce Sensabaugh or Kyle Filipowski. Isaiah Collier, I think he still needs minutes in Summer League. He needs to show that he can run an offense and score when needed. Ace Bailey, as you talked about, there's some things we need to continue to see from him. Cody Williams, he was showing some improvement. I've been reading about all the things he's been doing in the weight room to put on weight and become a stronger player. He still looks skinny by a lot of NBA standards, but he does seem to be a little bit more in control of what he's trying to do offensively. So I think you still need to see more Cody Williams. I think you still need to see more Isaiah Collier. And then, Walt Clayton Jr. still needs that. The true rookies are still going to need a lot of time. But the guys that have been here before, I think Collier and Williams still need more time. I don't know how much more time we need from Bryce Sensabaugh or Kyle Filipowski, but there's still more to be seen from some of these young Jazz players.
Yeah, I definitely think Bryce Sensabaugh could maybe end up getting pulled after the Salt Lake Summer League. Just be like, all right, if he has another couple of these games where he scores nigh on 20 points and shoots efficiently, then I think pull him and say, all right, let's give more room for Cody Williams, who I think needs a lot of development. Isaiah Collier, especially Ace Bailey, if we're talking about that same position, that kind of wing position. Just give more touches for Ace Bailey. I shouldn't say give more touches because Ace Bailey shot it as much as Bryce Sensabaugh did, but get him, get Ace Bailey in the flow as much as you can. And if that means pulling Bryce Sensabaugh, then I think you can do that. And eventually, John Tonje, he didn't play. He's injured. If he comes back, he's going to need to fit into that wing position as well, and he's going to need minutes. So I think that's where you could see a couple of these guys. I'm not sure what other centers they have on the roster because I feel like Kyle Filipowski probably should play most of the Summer League. But given how decently he did at the end of last year and how much he's kind of dominating right now, maybe they pull him as well and be like, okay, we've seen enough. But that's only if there's another center that they want to give minutes to, because if there's not, then why not give Filipowski some minutes? Because you're going to have Yusuf Nurkic and Walker Kessler on the roster, and Filipowski may not get a ton of minutes with those two on the roster unless they play him a lot more at power forward, which at power forward, you have Lauri Markkanen and Taylor Hendricks. So they may want to play Kyle Filipowski more because he may get fewer minutes this season than he did last year.
Yeah, and the thing too with Ace Bailey, Clayton, he spent a lot of time in college, and he took his team to the national championship game and won. Like, he has played in high-profile, high-pressure games quite a bit, and he has clearly shown that he is comfortable in those situations. Ace Bailey, he's still young, and he was on a team that really wasn't that great, despite his talent and Dylan Harper's talent. This could have been, Saturday's game could have been just, this is a new level, kind of some hype and expectation, and maybe just struggled with a little bit. He's still only 18 years old. So I'm really interested to see how he bounces back tonight. How does he look tonight? And then this is going to be an ongoing journey for him. If he struggles again tonight, okay, it's too bad, but it's not really a red flag just yet. If he's continuing to struggle after 2 weeks in Las Vegas, wow, did Utah make the wrong choice at the number 5 pick?
Yeah. Well, and also a big part of this, and this is why I much wanted to defer to you to lead this off, because I'm looking at numbers. And Summer League, despite what ends up coming out on social media, is not about numbers. I mentioned how even the guy who harps on efficiency all the time, I tend to throw efficiency out the window to a degree in Summer League, because I just want to see what these players are made of. If they create for themselves a wide open shot and they miss it, I'll be like, I'm kind of counting more of the creation and the ability to get that open shot than I am, because you're going to get those reps and you're going to have a chance of hitting those shots later. If you don't hit those shots eventually, then but again, that's something for down the line. If you show those, that higher level ability, that's what I'm looking for in this kind of situation where players are given the chance to show that, because Bryce Sensabaugh and all these other guys are not able to show that as much during the regular season. This is when they get to showcase it. This is when Ace Bailey gets to showcase that. I want to see them be able to do these things, and so that's why you got to watch these games a lot more than box score watch. And so if Ace Bailey struggles efficiency-wise but continues to look better and better and better, I can live with that, so long as he showcases that star capability. Eventually, I want him to start hitting those shots during Summer League, but this is very much see how it looks rather than how it ends up on the box score.
Yeah, I mean, in the games, I didn't really watch too much of the earlier game between Oklahoma City and Memphis, but VJ Edgecombe clearly had some of the most highlight real type plays of the night, and he clearly showed he is NBA ready.
Yeah, and that's why you're a little worried, because you have the one guy, the one star who's balling out, and your star is
Yeah.
You worry a little bit.
But you talk about, not necessarily just box score watching. There were a number of technicals that were handed out in the game. There was some physical play. Guys were getting in each other's faces. Jazz players, even though they didn't really know each other very well, some of them, they still stood up for each other. I honestly, I kind of liked that. I liked seeing that they had a little moxie. They had a little attitude. Some of it, most of it, they were reacting to other things that were happening to them. They didn't always initiate it. It's not like the bad boys out there, but they didn't back down. And so I liked seeing that this was a team comprised of guys who aren't going to back down. Like they're out there to compete, and sometimes it might get a little rough if they're doing that. So I was okay with that, actually.
All right, so we got to take a break. We're a little overdue. When we come back, Erica, you mentioned Teresa Gould talking about certain things. We're going to come back and play a few clips from an interview that she was on. It was John Wilner and John Canzano.
Yes.
She was on a podcast with them, and so we'll talk about that and some of the things that she said coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Who do you turn to if you want to change out your wood or pellet stove? Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They were voted the gold medalist for Best of Northern Utah for the 5th year in a row in the fireplace retrofit category. Be ready when the government's next wood and pellet replacement incentives pop up. Advanced Fireplace can help you navigate the paperwork. For more information, call Advanced Fireplace and Stove, 752-7272. Online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Are you looking for compassionate and reliable care for yourself or a loved one? Look no further than Aegis Home Health and Hospice. I'm Tom Sherlock, a licensed social worker, part of the dedicated team of professionals committed to meeting the needs of our community. Voted best in Northern Utah 2 years in a row, we pride ourselves on delivering exceptional service that you can depend on. We're here to ensure comfort and dignity every step of the way. When it comes to your health, choose the agency that Northern Utah trusts the most. Choose Aegis. Visit myaegis.com or call today 435-723-9000.
No matter what the conditions, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle up and off your property. Now is the time to plan to make extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage and moving that old vehicle. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204 today. See store for details.
A diamond is forever and is perfect to represent your love. For those special occasions, give her a natural, one-of-a-kind diamond, as unique as she is. Our exclusive brand of Needham Brilliant Diamonds are white in color, high in clarity, and are recognized for their precise cut. These diamonds are natural, untreated, and are the real thing. Show her you care enough to give her a diamond, an investment for generations to come. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. SC Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Retirement. Are you ready? Adams Wealth Advisors specializes in preparing you for a secure retirement. There's no reason to feel frustrated. The team at Adams Wealth will create a personalized plan that includes timing of retirement, reliable income sources, Social Security, estate planning, and more. Adams Wealth Advisors has a team of CPA, certified financial planners, Social Security experts to help you plan and retire with confidence. Call today, 752-1702, or visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com. Your dream retirement starts here.
Honey, the garage door won't close again.
It's the sun hitting the sensors. I just fixed this.
Toilet paper rolls are not a fix. Is there something we can do?
Actually, yeah. Advanced Garage Door has these new sunshades that block direct light from the garage door sensors. Let me give Mason a call.
Is your garage door not closing? We can fix that. Call Advanced Garage Door at 435-255-6725. That's 435-255-6725. Or visit us at advancedgaragedoors.com.
The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning wants you to feel the love as they give away and install 5 new furnace and air conditioners to families in need. Mountain Valley Heating and Air is donating HVAC systems, equipment, materials, and installation services to help deserving families who need a little extra support, and they need your help. You can go nominate a family in need today. Nominations run through August 31st, and in September and October, they'll pick at least 5 families to receive these systems and installation services. And you can nominate by going to mtnvalleyhvac.com. That's mtnvalleyhvac.com. And click the Feel the Love tab. And that's mtnvalleyhvac.com. So the day, you had something you wanted to
Well, just before we get to Teresa Gould, just happening moments ago, Utah Jazz announcing that they're signing R.J. Lewis Jr. to a 2-way contract. He's 6'7", 215 pounds, a guard forward.
Average wing, basically.
Yeah, wing. Averaged 18 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals for St. John's this last year. Big East Player of the Year.
An All-American.
It was selected to the All Big East first team, All Tournament team, main tournament's most outstanding player. So has a lot of accolades, and Jazz just signed him to a 2-way contract. We didn't see him on Saturday. He's on their Summer League roster, so he's someone to keep an eye on. Hopefully we get to see him tonight.
An interesting player, maybe kind of like Johnny Juzang to a degree, where he was the guy who went on a run with UCLA, unheralded prospect, but had good size, good scoring. But this is the third All-American from this most recent college season the Jazz have brought on. So they're really going after those All-American players, a lot of whom are like 3 or 4 year players in college.
Yeah. So we'll see. Now, Jazz only went 8 nine players deep.
8 or 9 players deep.
And they got a bunch of guys on the roster. So tonight, I'm sure we'll see a lot of different guys play, and that's how it'll go. They'll just give different guys opportunities, and just going to see how they work.
Yeah, so you might see like Jaden Springer, Elijah Harkless, Adams Sanoga, I don't know how to say his name. Those guys are all coming off the bench. Some of those guys might not even see the floor, and they'll like swap in like 3 other guys to fill a 9 or 10-man rotation. Maybe one game they bench Bryce Sensabaugh and bring in somebody. So that's the kind of stuff that you can see in Summer League where some guys play 15 minutes in one game, but then don't play in the next, instead of trying to split 2 guys for 8 minutes where they neither of them get to really get going.
Right. They want to give them a good run, get them some good tape, get them a good feel of the game, of who they are in different situations on the court. So, yeah, it's going to be a very different lineup tonight, I would suspect, than we saw on Saturday.
Yeah, similar starters, but some different guys getting in. So, but we wanted to shift toward this Teresa Gould interview again. John Canzano and John Wilner, their podcast. I forgot the name of the podcast.
Canzano and Wilner.
There you go.
Yeah, you can see it on YouTube. This came out on July 3rd. And this dropped at about the time that I went on the air for our show. You were out of the area. I already had something planned. So as soon as I got off the air, I watched it. I listened to it, pulled the audio. A few interesting clips from Commissioner Gould about what's next for the Pac-12. And now that Texas State is a member, now that CBS is an anchor media partner, like where do they go from here? And one of the things that was discussed is, could the Pac-12, are they done with expansion? Could there be more schools added, but maybe not as full members? Could there be a basketball school or a football-only school? And what might the criteria be if looking at some of those schools to be added?
As we're evaluating additional members, whether they're football-only, basketball-only, full membership, that they are members that are actually adding value in the areas that are important to us, that they're adding value in terms of the competitive metrics that we want to achieve, that they're adding value in terms of our national brand and how we're perceived in the marketplace, that they're adding value economically in terms of our commercial enterprise, and that they're adding value in our leadership room.
Yeah, so a lot of that's PR talk, but, again, they're looking for teams, as you said at the end, they're adding value. You got to find someone who's going to add value. And that's kind of been with what the Pac-12 has struggled with, because they've had to, they've tried to hold these really high standards for who they're going to bring in. Yeah. Because their whole thing is we're bringing in the best of the G5 to kind of create this pseudo power conference. And, that's where Utah State and San Diego State, all the Mountain West teams, but it's also why they didn't bring in the rest of the Mountain West. So in Texas State, to some, felt like they were kind of reaching down a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of stands in, it's an interesting contrast between how the Pac-12 has handled expansion and how the Mountain West has handled backfill, if you will. Because is UTEP really raised the profile of the Mountain West?
No.
Probably not. Does Northern Illinois raise the profile of the Mountain West as a football playing school?
Not
Probably
particularly.
Not really. But then you look at the Pac-12. Does Texas State raise the profile of the Pac-12? Not really. It does get them in. There's some things that it checks off the box, but it's not really this great program.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing that Teresa Gould got into, is that they may not be well known now, but they're working on becoming well known in the future because of how aggressive they've been in expanding their facilities, investing in improving the student athlete and just the growth of the university as a whole as an R1 institution. Well, it's on its path to be there. So there's a lot of things about Texas State that is in line with what the Pac-12 really is all about.
We've always been a top 5 league. Our aspirations are to continue to be a top 5 league. That requires investment. And I will say with Texas State and their leadership, with their president and their athletic director, both of whom are incredible people, they are aggressive, they're relentless, they're going to invest, they're going to position themselves to compete at the highest level. If you've watched in particular their football program compete over the last couple of years, they're a gritty, hard fighting program, and they were a perfect fit in terms of our competitive aspirations.
Yeah, it seems like Texas State is going to be an acquired taste where it's like, if you look at the numbers, and trust me, I've looked at the numbers, it's not a school that by all the past numbers is going to raise the profile of the Pac-12. But it's that future projection. And again, Utah State's in a similar boat. Mind you, they have a lot more past production than Texas State does.
Yes.
But even Utah State doesn't live up to some of the numbers of some of the other Pac-12 schools. But it's that, a combination of having a really good past, but again, growth and projection for the future. So Texas State is just, they're a lot like Utah State in the early 2010s. Potential, they just got to grasp it. We got to take another break. When we come back, we'll finish off the show on the Full Court Press, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
This is Brent Wallace with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account, and if you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
The Sportsman on Main Street is loaded with great clothing, shoes, and equipment. This is Mark inviting you to come in and check out our awesome store. For 71 years, we have outfitted you, whether you are going on the trail or to the theater. Trust me, you won't see yourself coming and going as we work hard to have some of the most unique clothing and shoes you will see anywhere. If it's a bike, skis, or a unique clothing and shoes, I promise we will take care of you only at the Sportsman on Main Street in historic downtown Logan with tons of free parking in the back.
The patio is open. The chips are endless. Drinks on tap. You know it's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant, gold winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. That's a complete lunch for just $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and massive burrito, just $7.95. The patio, the sun, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th Weston Center in Logan.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Medicare can seem complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let us help. We'll answer all your questions and get you specific information that fits your needs. Medicare is not one size fits all. We'll help you find the right coverage for you. Call 752-9493. You can ignore the TV and the junk mail. We'll get you the exact information you need. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
Les Olson IT structured cabling is second to none. Tired of old and inefficient cabling? Have an upgrade or remodel planned? Building a new network from the ground up? We offer the very best in low voltage cabling installation, including data, phone, fiber optic, and more. Ask us how to get your free consultation today.
Les Olson IT.
Make it 5 years in a row. Advanced Heating and AC is honored to be named gold medalist for the best of Northern Utah in the AC HVAC category. They thank you for your support and vote of confidence in their company. You have many choices when it comes to your home's heating and air conditioning system. Make sure you choose the 5-time gold medal winning company, Advanced Heating and AC. Call 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI, online at advancedheating-ac.com.
Talking the sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Weather is hotter, and Napa has what you need to be prepared for that heat. Napa Legend and Napa AAA batteries. You can get a $25 rebate on Bosch lithium-ion batteries, and they can even test yours to make sure it needs to be replaced. You can get fuel treatments from Standardine, Howes, Seafoam. It's all on sale for $8.49 a can. Mention this ad to get Napa 15W Premium Diesel Oil for $11.99 a gallon. Cash and carry only. That and a whole lot more at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores, all the way from Preston to Providence. So we had a text come in on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line 9315 asking, does Texas State have lots of oil money?
That I don't know. I'm looking through, just trying to find out who some of their bigger donors are. And they've had somebody donate $20 million to help with establish their business, their College of Business. That was about 20 years ago. But those were like building supply company, a bunch of those. Another family donated a ton of money, but that was for their end zone complex. But that was from a construction company.
So is it just a bunch of construction companies?
Apparently.
Those people can have a lot of money.
Yes. It's an interesting place. It's in hill country. It's between San Antonio and Austin. It's not a massively populated area, but it is a quickly growing area. So I don't know where they're getting all their money, but a lot of money is going into it. And it's a big student body, so they're going to have a big alumni base that's giving back and excited about their increase in opportunity to go into the Pac-12.
Yes, that's going to be the biggest thing is growth. Again, that's the key word for them. It's growth for a lot of these, for Texas State in particular. But I want to see if the Pac-12 can help itself grow. These have been the teams on the highest trajectory in the Mountain West. Because you got the upward slant, can you raise it a few degrees, have even bigger growth, faster growth? That's the thing we're kind of hoping for from the new Pac-12.
Yeah, and there is more room for growth for schools to join in, whether that's a full member or just partial specific sports only. But that'll be interesting to watch as the summer continues, besides these other media partners that get announced.
Got Sacramento State. They're gunning for it.
That's right.
I feel like
they need a home.
I feel like they're ultimately going to be disappointed. That's going to do it for us today, though. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to catch us on our podcast feed and make sure to tune in tomorrow.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Aaron Rodgers says this is it. 1 year in Pittsburgh. One final ride. But with Rodgers, the final word is rarely ever final. The 41-year-old quarterback says he'll retire after this season. But let's not forget, this is the same guy who spent months waffling on whether he'd return at all, let alone where he'd play. His decision-making process has become as much a part of his legacy as his arm talent. And maybe that's the real reason why we shouldn't rush to believe him. Rodgers is a 4-time MVP, but he still only has one Super Bowl ring. If the Steelers get close or even win it all, hard to imagine him walking away. If they fall short, a second ring still dangles just out of reach. Rodgers' old mentor, Brett Favre, knew a thing or two about retirement indecision. Maybe Rodgers will follow the same script. 1 year in Pittsburgh? Maybe. But if we've learned anything about Aaron Rodgers, it's that the story is never over until he decides. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.